Benin, 112,600 square kilometers, about 8 million inhabitants. This is one of the world's smallest and least populated countries in Africa. But in Benin, greatness has nothing to do with size. For those who knew the country well, it used to be called Dahomey, the Latin Quarter of Africa. Despite the change of name, it remains the Latin Quarter of Africa. It is also the laboratory of democracy in Africa and one of the most stable countries on the continent. Such attributes inspire respect, but there is better to the country. Its physical beauty is said to be irresistible. Its culture is said to be vivid. Its history is believed to be rich and fascinating, and its people is considered as one of the most hospitable, pacific, and smartest in the world. What is it really? Give me a few minutes' attention, and I will tell you all about it. First fascination, it stretches on 150 kilometers. On this coast, we will visit 3 cities including Grand Popo, Ouidah, and Cotonou, which you can see right now. This is the main gateway to the country when you come by plane or by boat. It is also the business center par excellence. Over 60% of the country's businesses take place in this sprawling metropolis that is still very friendly. The port, it serves the hinterland countries, such as Niger and Burkina Faso, which trust the country's port completely because it meets the standards of the International Code for the Security of Ships and Port Facilities, ISPS. Even the giant Nigeria uses it frequently. Another site in Cotonou is its market. It is one of the largest and busiest markets in West Africa. If you're interested in good business, you will find it here. Everything is available in this market. You only need to pay a short visit to it to avoid any later regret. Cotonou is not the capital city of Benin, but it has the stuff of a capital city. Almost all institutions of the Republic are based here. The head offices of all international organizations are based in Cotonou. So do all embassies. Finally, Cotonou is the city of Semijan. These legendary motorbike taxis, whose drivers are dressed in yellow, facilitate your movements just for some coins. Ouidah is my favorite. For me, this city epitomizes Benin. It is the symbol of pain and suffering because it was one of the top sites of the slave trade. Once in Benin, please pay a visit to this city and especially go down the slave route, starting from the slave auction place to the gate of no return, stopping at the tree of forgetfulness, Zomaï Square, the memorial, and the tree of return. It is an edifying pilgrimage worth doing although it is moving. To complete your visit to the sites of this shameful trade, you must come here. In this former Portuguese fort, built in 1721, you will find an impressive collection of photographs and various objects on the slave trade. Ouida is also the symbol of successful integration. Descendants of former slavers and former slaves live in perfect harmony. It's incredible but true. All cultures, indigenous and foreign, mingle well in this city. The fact that the Basilica and the Temple of the Pythons, which you can blithely visit, face each other is a proof of this peaceful coexistence. Knowing that the sand used in the construction of this church was brought from over 5 kilometers by voodoo worshippers, it becomes easier to guess that Ouida, the capital of voodoo, is tolerance in itself. After Ouida, westward further, you come to Grand Popo, the pearl of the coastal region. The first contact of Benin with the West happened here. The Danish, the English, the Portuguese and the Dutch all once established here and erected counters that the sea has swallowed with time. The city is striking for its fine sand strewn with shells and its breathtaking landscape. Grand Popo is a town between two waters, the sea and a river. On your schedule, plan a night in Grand Popo. Besides the friendly hotels, you will experience the whistling of wind in the coconut trees and the sea lullaby to relax and soothe your nights. Here, as in Ouida, you have families bearing the names of former explorers and slavers such as Olympio, Johnson, Freitas Almeida, Benthik, Bovis, de Souza, Lemon, Gomez, Oliveira, Olivier de Montaguer, to name only those. Such families are also found in Porto Novo, Benin's capital city. The Portuguese were here at home, for it seems the town reminded them of Porto. Thus, they named it Porto Novo in 1752. Porto Novo was an ancient kingdom. Today, it remains a rather historic city or a city museum. Porto Novo, it is Benin's memory. You'll find royal palaces including the one of King Tofo I in the city, old buildings in the Luso-Brazilian style, treasures in the various museums, the National Library, and many other sites, some as interesting as the others. Now, I suggest you go northward into Benin, precisely to Abomey, another historic city. But on the way, 2 stops are important. The first is that of Ganvié, the lake village. It is the most visited site. I would say that it is the greatest site of Benin. People go to Ganvié to escape, to dream, and to share moments of pleasure with very friendly people especially when you put your cameras away. In the beginning, I told you that this country is small but great. Well, evidences of this are not what miss. Here is another one. Toussaint Louverture, the first black general in the French army, the liberator of Haiti, the first of blacks in the land of the white. He is Beninese, precisely from Alida, an old historic city founded around the 14th century. The founders of the kingdoms of Porto Novo and Abomey originally departed from this city. Welcome to Abomey, the city of King Béhanzin, the fierce opponent to the French penetration into Dahomey. Going to Abomey is tantamount to trading the sacred land of Amazons, these fearsome women warriors who gave trouble to French troops. This museum, established as heritage site by UNESCO, was their palace. Here, you will see thrones of kings, tombs of some of them, their clothes, weapons, and other utilitarian objects. The guide will tell you that Abomey had a powerful army, the best organized of its time, and he will not have lied to you. The archaeological village located 9 kilometers from Abomey tells a lot about the war strategy of that army.
On Century 18, there was no light. This main room we are in is used as a trap because people living in the underground houses, when they come, they go directly to the boxes. And from there, you all can see the entry, using the sunlight to see you coming in. And if you come, you stay here, right on the spot, and to them you're an intruder. And instead of letting you go alive, they will kill you for you not to go and tell your story in a hole that is supposed to be their shelter. From the top to the basements, there are 7 meters and a half. Here we are in a underground basement. The entry has a circular shape. And the old entry makes the central axis of the main room, which has the shape of an egg. Why is that? Because they didn't want people outside to be able to hear what they were saying inside. Sound diffusion being horizontal, if they used rectangular or square-shaped walls in these underground basements, the sound would have been diffused up to the top, and outsiders would have been able to hear and understand conversations from the inside.
It is said that in white men's countries, Romans were those who used to practice such techniques. But Beninese did not descend from the Romans. And yet, it appears they were genius at war strategy. I urge you to visit the site of about 7 hectares to discover the ingenuity of the people and the remains that were found in these bunkers. On the same latitude, east side, you can visit Ketu, the Oduduwa community. This old Yoruba kingdom was founded by the eldest son of King of Ile-Ife. Ile-Ife is a town in Nigeria. It is said to be the cradle of the Yoruba people. At Ketu, in Benin, you can see the holy crown of the King of Ile-Ife. How come? Well, the story goes that the King of Ile-Ife threw his children out of his palace and asked them to go and found their own kingdom. Smarter as he was, the elder son stole and took the crown of his father away with him. In his flight, he found refuge here and built his kingdom after having subjected the occupants. The biggest sight of Ketu is 2 magic doors, a male and a female. They have incredible supernatural powers that would be tedious to enumerate here. Yet, keep in mind that nobody ever closes the male door, but it may close on its own. Whenever this happens, it's to announce a major potential disaster on Ketu. The Fa, which is an art of divination, will thereafter be consulted to get a clear idea of the type of misfortune and ward it off. The female door, on the other hand, allows a woman facing reproductive problems to get pregnant. She only needs to make the request to it and agree to comply with the requirements that follow. We now turn to the heights of Benin. Let me tell you right away that it has nothing to do with the Kilimanjaro. These are hills and mountain ranges proportional to the size of the country. Have a look at those of Dasizume. At the foot of one of them, a Mary's grotto was constructed since 1954 because it was believed the place looks like Lourdes in France. A few miles away, 3 large bowls announce Save, an ancient Yoruba kingdom. These are the breasts of Save. The baldest of the 3 is called Iyachabi, that is to say, the mother of Save. Formerly, these hills were actual shields or fortresses against invaders. That break was well worth a transition to the main course. Silence then, for the mouth that eats does not talk, it savors. You've seen in sequence the falls of Tanugu and Kota and the beautiful landscape of Atakura that the camera has some trouble showing at perfection. Now, you're in the 100% natural park of Penderi. It is the largest and most populated with wildlife in the western part of Africa.
Penderi covers like 266,000 hectares, so quite big. The Penderi Park is a natural one, still primal. Then it's an ideal attraction for tourists. It also offers resting facilities. You will not only see the animals, but the resting rooms as well. If you're tired, you can rest and keep on with your visit the day after. I suggest you visit Penderi because it's full with animals of all kinds.
The Tata Samba. What an architecture! These castles, built usually in the shade of a baobab tree, were invented by Otamari people to protect themselves against aggressors. At the entrance, you have the protective deities. The ground floor is the domain of domestic animals. In the meantime, men live on the floor next to their attics. I won't forget to give you a snapshot of Parakou, the metropolis of the north, the hometown to the first president of Benin. It's also a former kingdom. Its market is one of the largest of Benin. Parakou is renowned for its tasty pole cheese. This big red cheese is known as wagisi. It can be eaten crude, fried, or cooked in any sauce. Parakou is also known as the town of Nyams. Nyams are the main food in northern Benin. What else to tell you about this small but great country? Oh, I almost forgot. When coming to Benin, just take with you what is really needed. Once in the country, you can do all banking operations as if you were in New York. As for hotels, don't mention them. There are 5 stars, 4, 3, even 2 stars. You can find them from south to north and from east to west. Here, in the Latin Quarter of Africa, the saying goes that there's something available for all tastes and all budgets. Benin is waiting for you. Do not at all decline the offer, because it has not finished revealing itself. At the corner of a street or during a ceremony, you can meet this mask. Do not be afraid, and especially do not provoke it. It is called Egungun. It is a sacred mask of Yoruba origin. Egungun worship is a cult for the dead, and the mask is supposed to represent the deceased. You can also see a zangbito. It is also a sacred mask, but it originated 100% from Benin, and in the past, it used to guard the city. Zangbito, which would only come out at night in the past, is now replaced in this security guard role by the police and gendarmerie, and it has discovered a new role. Nowadays, it enhances the splendor of events. This one, it is the Gelede. It is a mask of Yoruba origin and established as global and intangible heritage of UNESCO. It has an educational function related to the sculpture that it bears. Ajogon. This is a rhythm of the royal court of Porto Novo. Originally, it was only executed by queens and wives of the king's brothers, either at a royal feast or when His Majesty received a distinguished guest. This is the Teke, another royal dance of northern Benin, which is specific to the Batunus commonly called Bariba. Yet another Bariba site. We cannot forget voodoo, the traditional religion of southern Benin, falsely vilified and demonized. I went to Benin. I saw it. I even rubbed shoulders with it. It does not embody all the bad things that are said about it. As proof, I almost got involved in it. But believe me, this is only a postponement. I am going to stop here for today, because in Benin, we do not take the whole arm when somebody holds out his hand to us. Similarly, we do not go to the bedroom directly when we are admitted into the living room. The lesson is never to abuse people's generosity. Thanks for your attention and see you soon.